Joining me now is Democratic Florida Congressman Jared Moskowitz, a member of the House Oversight and Accountability Committee and the House Foreign Affairs Committee. Congressman, we're going to get to the dysfunction on Capitol Hill, which is a day ending in Y for you, I know, but I want to briefly discuss the Hur report, and I want to make it a very limited discussion because I think that's really only what it merits, to be honest. You see the Biden-Harris 2024 campaign going on the attack, reacting to Trump's speech last night with a statement calling Trump confused and deranged, and giving a list of what they say is more than 24 examples of him lying in his speech. You know, Jared, if we put Trump's record next to Biden's record blows him away. Do you think the gloves should come off even more?
Well, thanks, Katie. Thanks for having me. First of all, I thought what the president did by going to the microphone and going on the offensive was good. I'd like to see more of that. I don't think he was being defensive. I think, quite frankly, he was showing what was in the report was completely false, right? I mean, if the guy, as they want to say, doesn't know what he's doing and he's senile, going and mixing it up with the press, I think is important. I loved what happened with Peter Doocy when Peter said, oh, what about your memory? And he said, my memory's so bad that I actually gave you a question, right? Just like that, super quick. And so I thought that was really smart. You know, look, I think they got to remind the American people that both people who are running are in their 80s, right? They're both elderly gentlemen. And these slip-ups kind of happen, right? We saw, you know, President Trump mix up the leaders of Hungary and Turkey. He might have been hungry for Turkey. But he mixed up the leader of that country, right? No one cared about that but when the President Biden mixed up, you know, the leader of Egypt and Mexico, all of a sudden that's a huge story. Like, Trump does this all the time. In a deposition, he looked at a picture of the woman that he assaulted and said, oh, that's his ex-wife. Wrong, he failed Pictionary. The speaker yesterday confused Iran and Israel. He said he supported Iran. We know, Mr. Speaker, you don't support Iran. You support Israel. We saw Jesse Waters mix up Kristi Noem, whether she was the governor of South Dakota or the governor of South Carolina, right? So these mix-ups happen, you know, but the press wants to make a big deal when it's Joe Biden. But when Donald Trump says that Biden's going to start World War II, which, by the way, happened in the 40s, you know, we kind of gloss over it. So I want to see the White House go on the offensive, quite frankly.
Yeah, well, I definitely don't gloss over it. And I think the critical part of the Hur report is no charges, no direct evidence, and frankly, the comparison of criminal intent between Biden and Trump that resulted in Trump getting indicted. But let's move on. Let's go to Capitol Hill, your stomping grounds. Republicans are saying they're going to try again on Tuesday to impeach DHS Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas. House already has a full plate, though, Congressman, with multiple spending bills, a looming government funding deadline coming up once again, Groundhog Day, right, in March. The 118th Congress is living up to its title as the least productive in U.S. history, at least courtesy of the Republicans, right?
Oh, well, hold on a second. This is a historic Congress. I mean, let's look at our achievements, right? We had never tried to remove a speaker in 100 years. Hadn't happened in 100 years. That's historic. We did that. Oh, we succeeded, which had never happened before. So that's historic. We then expelled a member. That's, you know, that goes down in the history books. Only happened a couple of times. Now we're impeaching a cabinet secretary that hasn't happened in 150 years. Oh, and they failed on the first attempt because apparently they don't know how to count. Marjorie Taylor Greene said, oh, we were hiding Democrats. Yeah, Marjorie would be happy if we were hiding in the attic again, by the way. I mean, the whole thing is just ridiculous. It's completely failure theater on their part. It leads to the chaos of this entire Congress. They've not done one thing for the American people, least productive Congress in modern history. And so, look, they'll try this again with Steve Scalise, who obviously is battling cancer. We obviously hope, we pray for him to make sure that he can defeat cancer. But yeah, they'll try to get this done. They'll do it now by one vote. And what's interesting is they want to get this done before the election in New York. There's a special election to replace George Santos in New York. If the Democrats win this, they won't have then the votes to impeach Mayorkas. So they're going to break a 150-year history by one vote. This is dead in the Senate. Okay, it has no future there, but yet this is what they want to waste the American people's time on, instead of trying to figure out how we can lower costs for the American people.
And let's also talk about history repeating itself in a bad way. I want you to take a quick listen, Jared, to what Congresswoman Elise Stefanik said when she was asked if she would have certified the votes if she had been in the place of Vice President on January 6, 2021. Take a quick listen.
I would not have done what Mike Pence did. I don't think that was the right approach. I specifically stand by what I said on the House floor, and I stand by my statement, which was there was unconstitutional overreach.
I mean, the sycophancy, the kowtowing is disgusting, frankly, but Stefanik is being viewed as a strong contender to be Trump's VP pick. Putting aside, you know, whether that was an audition for that role, though, how much do comments like that fly in the face of the law and fly in the face of normalized rules and procedures, how much does that concern you?
Well, first, let's clear something up, right? I know we're not big fans of Mike Pence, but what Mike Pence did, right, made him a hero of that moment. He did his job. He didn't bow to the pressure of Donald Trump, which, by the way, made him different in that moment because many others did in that moment and are continuing to bow to him as we see Donald Trump say, blame me for, you know, wanting to kill the bill that would have secured the border. So, look, this is par for the course with Republicans right now. Donald Trump owns them. They were afraid of him. He sends out a tweet. He can ruin their career. They know this. Donald knows this. And so, yeah, all these Republicans will break the law. There's very few of them that will do so. We saw a couple of Republicans in the House, right, vote against Mayorkas impeachment. They're standing up for the Constitution. They should get credit. There's a couple senators that have stood against Donald Trump before. We need them to stand up again. But these are the exception. They're not the rule. The majority of these Republicans will do whatever Donald Trump says. And we saw that when he killed the border deal, right? They were all like, yes, we're going to secure the border. In fact, this was their bill. They said, well, we can't do Ukraine. We can't do Israel if we don't secure the border at home. Democrats, okay, said, great, let's make a deal. We made a deal. Most conservative border bill in American history. And what does Donald Trump say? Nope, not on my watch, because I need that on the election. And all of a sudden, you see a sea change. Poor Mitch McConnell gave a speech in the afternoon saying the bill was great. And by the evening, he had to change positions because Donald Trump had gotten everybody in the caucus in the Senate against their leader on the bill. So this is what we're headed for.
Americans need to be paying attention because it's always at the fault of Republicans. Congressman Jared Moskowitz, thanks for being here this morning. I appreciate it.